everyone, how you guys doing? Welcome to episode 11 of the Real Estate Talk. I'm Abel.
I'm Burhan.
Hey, Burhan, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well. How about you, Abel?
I could be doing better, but I'm here. Gotta stay consistent with what we're doing, right?
There we go.
This weather out here, again, we keep referring to the weather, but it's kind of abnormal for this time of year, huh?
It changes, you can see all the trees. It's so beautiful out there. The colors are changing. Mm-hmm. It's the best time to go out for a drive,
Yeah, no, definitely. This week we've had some normal weather as far as like it's been in the 80s, high 70s.
That's true.
So I'm just like, mid-October, high 70s. The trees are changing and the weather is nice enough to where you can still go do outdoor activities. So I like that. I enjoy that.
Exactly. Did you watch the World Series last night?
Game 1 of the World Series, my Dodgers did real well. We walk-off grand slam home run, first time in history. By the time this episode drops, either they've won the World Series or we're going to be in Game 5 of the World Series.
Game 5, yeah. I hope it goes to 7 games, man.
I have them in 6. So hopefully they play tonight. And then Game 2 would be tonight. Then I believe Monday, Tuesday will be 3 and 4.
Correct.
And then Game 5. I'm hoping it'd be a gentleman's sweep.
Well, that's because you're rooting for the Dodgers.
Of course,
but, as a fair weather fan, I wanted to go 7 games.
Oh, it's great for baseball. Like honestly, just to have 2 of the coasts just kind of going at it. It's always good for baseball,
and not just for baseball, but for businesses. You got the 2 biggest market teams.
That's true.
LA and New York. And Yankees and Dodgers.
How are you? So I've gone to a couple of Dodger games when they come out here when they played the Nationals. Mm-hmm. I remember the year they won. I remember they won the World Series. It was in maybe in the last decade. I can't remember the exact time.
I think it was 2020. It was one of the COVID years, 2020 or 2021.
Was it? Or I thought it was before that.
No, it was somewhere around there. Remember with Clay and Kershaw? Mm-hmm. It was one of those years they won.
Okay, so I definitely we gotta look that up. Maybe you guys can put it in the comments what year it was. But in LA, Dodger baseball is like, everybody is a Dodger fan or Angels fan, but we don't really mess with the Angel fans. Mm-hmm. But it's, it's kind of like a way of life there. It's like a rite of passage when you're growing up, going to Dodger Stadium and things like that. I know you guys have the Commanders, the Wizards, and the Nationals. How does that vary with them being in D.C. and then you have, Baltimore, not Baltimore, Maryland, and then Virginia? Like, how does that fare for fans?
So fans here usually around 495, the Beltway. For the most part, they're all DC fans. Yeah. But then as you go into Maryland up to a certain point, they become Baltimore fans.
Yeah, Oilers and the Ravens.
The Orioles and the Ravens. Yeah. And then when you go south, even toward Richmond, there's a lot of, Commanders fans and Nationals fans and Wizards fans. Yeah.
That should be like it should be a rule of thumb. If you're more than 2 hours away, you can't root for that team or something like that, right?
But the funny part is, there's so many fair weather fans like myself. Yeah. You grow up. I'm a Cowboys fan. Yeah. I don't really follow them anymore. Yeah,
I always thought that was weird. Like people in the DMV, there's a lot of Cowboy fans in this area. I always thought that was weird.
Well, I mean, this is funny that everyone that's even a Cowboys fan now, we don't care anymore because of the owner, but that's another topic.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. So that leads me to the thing. So we were talking about if you're 2 hours away, 3 hours away, like, you shouldn't root for the Commanders type of thing. Mm-hmm. So the city that I wanted to kind of highlight with you today was Dumfries, Virginia. Yep. So tell me a little bit about Dumfries, Virginia.
So Dumfries is one of the oldest areas or cities in the state of Virginia. Yeah. But people overlook it. People always think, it's a little far. It's not that far from D.C. And actually, Dumfries is one of the areas, as far as real estate is concerned, you can take advantage of. Yeah. It's in Prince William County. Yeah. Being in Prince William County, you can get a lower tax rate than Fairfax County or Loudoun County. Yeah. And being in Prince William County, you can get a lot of incentives, especially if you're looking to be a first-time home buyer.
Yeah. And Dumfries is... So how I got to know Dumfries was when my wife and I were still working on, moving over this way, she said, yeah, we can really get a good price in a nice upcoming area is Dumfries. So I know about Dumfries way before I came into the Northern Virginia area, but she always bigged it up. She's like, yeah, it's a little bit of a drive from, the Alexandria and DC, but it's still drivable, commutable, and it's a nice area with a fairly affordable housing. So what's the medium housing and price in the northern in Dumfries?
The median housing price in Dumfries is around $400.
Okay.
In the $400s, you can afford a house. In Fairfax County, it's significantly higher than that.
Yeah.
But let's say your income is around, $50,000-$60,000, which is the average American salary right now.
Yeah.
And you can't afford a house in Fairfax County, but you want to buy a house instead of living on rent forever.
Yeah.
You can always look toward the Dumfries area. You can buy a nice 3-level townhouse, believe it or not, in the Dumfries area.
Yeah.
It's very possible.
And it has a lot of nice, rich history. So before, when we did our pre-shoot conversations, you told me about Dumfries, and I did a little bit of research. And in the 18th century, it used to be a very big port city. Obviously, everybody knows Virginia used to be big on exporting tobacco.
Correct.
And Dumfries was one of those port cities that rivaled, Philadelphia, New York, and Boston. And I thought that was pretty interesting. How it went from a port city to kind of more of a residential. Is there any businesses in that area, any large companies that are based out of Dumfries?
So there aren't any large companies that I know of, but I do know that there's a casino that opened up this year in Dumfries.
So it's open already?
Correct. From what I know, I have to do a little more research. But this year it was supposed to open up. And because Virginia rivaling Maryland, because, Maryland, especially when they opened up the MGM at National Harbor, bringing a lot of immigrants from Virginia to, gamble over there.
Yeah.
Virginia decided to legalize casinos.
Yeah.
And Dumfries was one of the first areas to decide to open up a casino.
Which can be real good for people wanting to buy in Dumfries right now. They can get in while it's a little bit lower. You anticipate that that's going to bring a lot of jobs and a lot of money to that city till they'll be able to kind of make the city grow, essentially.
You know what's funny, Abel? In 2021 and 2022, I helped a couple of buyers purchase houses in Dumfries. Ever since, the housing values in the Dumfries area in general have gone up 30, 40, 50%.
Wow. And that's from now to 2021 to 2024.
Yeah. And it's for different reasons. Obviously real estate values across the country have gone up.
Yeah.
Especially in the DC metro area.
Yeah.
But also the casino has had an impact.
Okay.
Because when a casino opens up in your area, it adds a lot of jobs. It adds a lot more opportunity. And the area itself gets some tax breaks.
Yeah.
There's a lot of political action upon it. So Dumfries itself as a community is growing significantly.
Yeah. And with it being, like you said, with it being in Prince William County, it seems like the Prince William County is really trying to make an effort to grow each city in their county, whether it be Woodbridge, and then now you told me like Dumfries has the casino. Is there any other businesses that they're planning on moving there, or any other incentives that's happening in that area?
So there's another specific part of Dumfries. It's known as Potomac Shores. Potomac Shores is right next to the river. Like you said, Dumfries was in the 1800s, they used to be big on exporting and importing, right?
Yeah.
Potomac Shores is right next to the river.
And that's the Occoquan River.
That's the Occoquan River, correct. And they have these brand new houses that are always developing, and they've been built over the last 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
If you're looking to buy a brand new house or buy a recent house that was a resale, you can always look at Potomac Shores. Yeah, they're a little more pricier, but you know what? Those houses are practically brand new.
And in proximity from DC to Potomac Shores, Dumfries, that's about 20 miles, about a 45 to an hour drive.
Correct. And a lot of the residents of Potomac Shores, they actually work in DC, and then they drive back to Potomac Shores. And there's actually a new VRE station, Virginia Railway Express station,
being built in
Potomac Shores. And that's not all. Potomac Shores also has its own golf course, has nice clubhouses, pools. It has a lot of great amenities.
So you have Potomac Shores, that's a newer development within the last 10, 15 years, and then there's other newer developments that are being built in that same area.
Correct. Dumfries has a lot of new housing developments currently being built. It also has a Walmart, which is great because Walmart in general in Prince William County only has 2 Walmarts. One in Woodbridge next to Potomac Mills, the mall, which is also right down the street from Dumfries. And then you have one right there in Dumfries.
Yeah.
So a lot of people overlook that.
And it's in a safe driving distance to where they, Potomac Mills, like you said, is about 10, 15 minutes drive from Dumfries. It's right next to them. And then you got Stonebrook, which is also right next to them and can easily be driven. Recreationally, there's a Prince William County forest, correct? And that's in Dumfries, right?
Correct. The Prince William County Forest is right there in Dumfries as well. So that's another great perk you have of living in Dumfries. Let's say you want to go on a hike with your family or your friends. You can just go down the street and you have the large forest of Prince William County.
Not also just hiking and just for a walk, but they also have campsites, campgrounds where you can either take your recreational vehicle, your RVs, and set up camp there, or can you tent camping? Is that allowed in
That is correct.
So that's activities that people can engage in while living in Dumfries.
Yep, exactly.
You talked about there being a Walmart, Target. What about restaurants and things like that? Do people still have to go to Potomac Mill area to enjoy, fine dining, or is there any fine dining places or any establishments as far as like the Potomac Mills and Stonebrook that is in Dumfries itself?
So it's interesting because if you just get onto Dumfries Road, you're on Route 1, right? Then there's this large road called Dumfries Road. That road goes all the way down to Manassas. As you go down Dumfries Road, there are all these shopping centers, including Target, which you mentioned. And those shopping centers include a lot of great fine dining. And you can look into it, whether you want to just grab a bite at Chick-fil-A or you want to go into a restaurant. There's a lot of great opportunities to take your family out to dinner just going down Dumfries Road. And here's a great fact. Dumfries Road is actually longer and wider than Prince William Parkway because you can use either road to go from one side of Prince William County to the other side, which is Manassas and Gainesville.
Yeah. And then the main highway is, you take 95 to get to Dumfries.
Correct.
What are some advantages of living in Dumfries?
One of the best advantages of living in Dumfries is the community is growing. A decade ago, like a lot of parts of Northern Virginia, there wasn't as much of a community. There are a lot more houses that are built in Dumfries, but now the community has significantly grown, as well as the property values. So similar to the other areas we mentioned, like Woodbridge and Manassas, Dumfries applies the same. And Dumfries, unlike the other areas, is next to the river. So if you want a river view, if you want to have water views every day, you definitely want to select Dumfries over the other areas.
Also, for the people that have boats and want to jet ski and things like that, those summer activities are available readily because the Occoquan River is right there and has all those activities. I know I have a friend of mine who he takes his boat down from Occoquan up to Old Town Alexandria, and then from there they go to DC, Georgetown. So that's something that I want to do eventually, and while I'm here, just kind of take that trip over because people don't fail to realize, or they might know, but there's a lot of waterfront. There's a lot of rivers and water in the Northern Virginia area, and more specifically in the Prince William County, because you got Occoquan, you got the Potomac River, you got Dumfries has, which would be the Occoquan River as well too, right?
Correct.
So
exactly.
But it's just all in waterfront. So for people that enjoy water sports or just being in the water in the summer, we're not in Kansas. We're surrounded by water, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So,
and don't worry, this is in Florida where we had experienced a lot of issues with the weather. So here, even though we get water views, there are a lot of great perks, and you're going to enjoy those views.
Yeah.
But best of all, with those views, your property value increases significantly just based on the view.
Now, with that being said as well, like you mentioned, luckily, and my prayers goes to everyone in Florida that's suffering through everything that's happening lately. But is Dumfries, with it being close to the water, is it more of high risk flood zones?
That's a great question. So you should do your due diligence and research and see if the property is considered a flood zone. Now, if there are certain parts of Dumfries where if the property is literally right on the beach or right next to the water, it can be considered a flood zone. You have to do your due diligence. You may have to get someone else involved to make sure. Talk to your realtor and see if it's categorized as a flood zone.
I mean, when you go through the home purchase process as well, when you get home insurance, they know those, so they know if it's a deemed a flood zone or things like that. But I just thought of that because of just all the waterfront that's there. Is it considered, a high flood zone area, which I don't believe it to be, but you have to do your research because each area is going to be a little bit different.
Now, all those properties in Potomac Shores, they're not deemed to be a flood zone. But if you're buying a certain property, which is right next to the water, yeah, it has a great perk that the value is going to be significantly higher. But you still want to make sure by talking to either the title company or your realtor whether or not it's categorized to be in a flood zone.
Exactly. So if people wanted to buy in Woodbridge, Dumfries, what would be the things that they should look out for? Is it townhomes, single family homes? What's in that area that's really being built right now? Is because, like you said, the Potomac Shores, I don't see any single family homes in Potomac Shores. I've seen all townhomes, and there may be some. I just haven't come across it.
So Potomac Shores has options for everything. They have condos, townhouses, and single family houses. You have to look at your budget, how much you can afford, and then go through the pre-approval process. See what your monthly payment is going to be, and then talk to your realtor and see if it makes sense for you to afford a condo, townhouse, or single family house. And then once you have all your numbers aligned, then go through the process of talking to either a builder or your realtor for a resale.
So are there a lot of new builds being built in Dumfries? Can you build from scratch in Dumfries?
You can. All you have to do is make sure that the land is buildable. It depends on the zoning. If it's categorized as residential, then talk to the county, which is Prince William County, the real estate division, and then you're allowed to build there.
Okay. So my other question to you, if people are not ready to buy homes there just yet, how is the options for apartments? What's like the median to be for renters there that want to rent in Dumfries? Still saying, hey, I'm not ready to buy just yet, but I want to be in Dumfries because I just know it's where I want to be. And if the renting option, is there a lot of rent options, or is it mainly homeowners in that area?
So there are a lot of rental options as well. You can rent an apartment for around $1,600, 1 to 2 bedrooms. And if you want to rent a townhouse, they're going between $2,000 and $2,500 in the Dumfries area.
And those are new build or older?
Those are a little older. The newer built ones are obviously going to be a little more expensive. So you had to just do your due diligence, even as a renter. You can just go online and look for apartment buildings. There's some newer apartment buildings as well.
That's awesome. So just for clarification, Dumfries is right next to Woodbridge. Manassas
Correct.
is not too far. They're kind of bunched in the same
Dumfries Road, yep. And that's a nice part about Prince William County. They're all bunched together.
And there's a lot of new builds that's happening. Again, I'm going to refer back to the Manassas Airport that's being expanded. It's already there, but they're going to start doing 10 commercial flights. I believe they said it was 2027, starting 2027, but that's if they do 10 commercial flights a day. I know that's for some other airports that's like nothing, but that's a big deal. If it's a domestic flight and you needed to go to LA or you needed to go to New York or Florida, you're able to just go to Manassas and fly out of there. And you know how much time that's going to save you. So
it's going to save a lot because You don't want to have to drive from Manassas or Dumfries all the way to Reagan Airport
or Dulles.
That's going to take you, especially with traffic, we're talking an hour.
Exactly. And I think I know that's air traffic is going to be crazy for them to have 3 big airports in the Northern Virginia area. But I do believe it's going to expand from 10 to, I believe they wanted to go to 20. And then from there, they might even get up to 100. Who knows if it allows it to be? But I think that would be great as the Prince William County continues to grow. If they have a major airport in the area that I don't want to drive to. I've driven to Reagan. I've driven to BWI even.
Okay.
So I like because it had the specific flight that I wanted. I've driven to Dulles. They're all not easy. And I've passed by the Manassas airport. It's fairly close to where I'm at. And I'm just like, oh, my God, life would be so much easier if they build this airport or expand this airport. Because the airport's there.
Yeah.
But if they expand it and make it more commercial, which is also going to be great for Prince William County, those towns I mentioned, Woodbridge, Manassas, and Dumfries.
Correct.
Because airport opens up, that's going to be jobs that's going to open up. That's going to be commerce that's going to happen there. That's going to allow people to be able to flourish and live in Dumfries, buy a home for a good price in Dumfries, go to work in Manassas or however, because now you're in that whole little community where you can get around. And then, like you said, the Commanders have bought land in Woodbridge.
Exactly.
It's just a lot of things that's happening. We talked about the Quartz District and how that's being built. I just feel like in the Northern Virginia area right now, Prince William County is the place to be. Do you concur as far as that?
I concur. It's an affordability factor.
And growth.
And growth. Exactly. You can buy a house. Even if you're an investor, buy a house, and you know you're going to get the return on your investment.
On your investment, yeah.
Other areas is higher risk. If you invest other areas in Northern Virginia, or if you go to, Central Virginia or Southern Virginia, you just don't know whether or not you're going to get the return on the investment.
So I know I've seen Prince William Police Department. Does Dumfries have its own police department? Obviously they have their own fire department and things like that locally, but do they have their own mayor and governing body, or is
they
it just...
do? So the governing body was part of the reason why they pushed to get the casino there, and that's great for Dumfries to grow.
Yeah,
because like you mentioned, hundreds of years ago, they used to do importing and exporting. That changed, and slowly they're looking for new ways as a community to grow. And the casino is a great idea. Yeah,
no, that's true. Which is like to bring it back, like Dumfries was, like you said, 1670, one of the oldest towns in the country, essentially.
Yeah,
and then it went to being a port city that was rivaling New York and all that.
Boston.
So somewhere along the line, it lost its port status, so they had to kind of reshape and reform. But that has so much history, and for those history buffs, the people that just like to see homes that were still built in the 1800s and just want to go, that's a great city to kind of see how America has come along in this history of ours, right?
Exactly. If you want to just drive by Dumfries one day, you'll see houses that are still existing, built 200 years ago,
Yeah.
You just drive by there and you'll be shocked that, these houses are still that old.
Yeah. And coming from California, I appreciate the greenery. So now that we're in, like I said, Prince William County, it's just so much green. I feel like I'm in the forest at sometimes, right? Because I'm driving down the road, like we talked about earlier. It's a great time to take a drive. You just see the changing of the leaves, and it gives you that greenery that other places don't give you. And I really do enjoy that. And Dumfries is like, there has so much green in all over the city.
Exactly. And we talked about it, but if you work in D.C., it won't take that long because Dumfries has an exit right there to 95.
Yeah.
Other areas don't have that luxury. So Dumfries comes with so many perks overall.
Yeah, so, and it's kind of... can people live in Dumfries and work in Richmond? It might be a little stretch to kind of drive, right?
Maybe Fredericksburg. But even Fredericksburg is going to take you like an hour to an hour and a half to get to Richmond.
To Richmond, yeah. So we can probably talk about Stafford and Fredericksburg, and hopefully make our way to Richmond in these next few episodes.
Correct.
But just to highlight, Dumfries is an area that we can really start to look at with this casino being built, with all the new builds that are happening there, with the train being able the VRE being able to have a stop there is just going to open up the.
Yep, exactly. And Potomac Shores, man, it's a great community.
Okay, maybe we can kind of put a link to Potomac Shores, and if people have any questions or concerns, or just questions about Dumfries, hit us in that comment section, and we'll make sure to get back to you. I think that's pretty much what I got for Dumfries.
Same here, man.
Yeah, I'm Abel.
I'm Burhan.
And see you guys next week. Have a good one. Go Dodgers.